religious inspiration. And that means a solution of the conflict is to be found beyond mere political rationality and also beyond mere ethical rationality. This spiritual approach at stake contains several important elements. The first one is a religious-founded universalism. That means the belief in a God who is the creator of the whole world and who loves all humans. Thus he hears the bitter moaning of all peoples. No one could feel justified while oppressing others, not even he or she has been oppressed before. It's the other way around, as the biblical book of Leviticus says, you should not oppress others because you yourself have experienced slavery. Another element is that God doesn't accept injustice and exploitation, but it's not man's task to extinguish them by acting in the name of God as persecutor of the wrongdoers. God himself is the supreme judge, and I think it's a fundamentalist misunderstanding of Revelation as well in Jewish, as in Christian, as in Muslim tradition, if people try to play this part by themselves. A third element, which seems to be the most crucial to me, is the experience of forgiveness. Let me refer to Hannah Arendt here, who says that forgiveness is, in opposite to revenge, is the only reaction that retains something of the original and creative character of action. So forgiveness requires acting in advance, requires a first step. And we all know about the importance of the first step, the importance of the first stone, thrown or not thrown. But we are also aware that this crucial first step is the most difficult. To Schwager, we are enabled to do this first step, to make this first step, by the experience of forgiveness granted by God. One of his favorite biblical examples for this is Peter, who is ready to confess his denial because of the forgiving Easter Shalom spoken by Jesus. But this experience of forgiveness and mercy is also very significant in Jewish and Muslim faith. Although I do completely agree with this analysis of Raimund Schwager, I think there are a lot of questions to be asked concerning the realization of peace in the Near East. And I could mention some of these questions, but as I do not have answers, and for the sake of the time, I will not do this here and come to an end. Raimund Schwager was convinced, and so am I, that this conflict in Israel and Palestine is really decisive for the future of the whole mankind. Why is this? In this conflict, all three monotheistic religions are involved in a very intense manner. Here, they have to prove if they are destructive, violence-breeding realities, or if they have to offer ways of peace and reconciliation. If they fail, if the Near East will bring about global terror further on, one war after another, even a nuclear conflict in the end, the global decline of monotheistic religions will become more likely. And that doesn't mean for me that there will be no more adherents of religious communities, on the contrary. But the original spirit of these religions will be distorted on a large scale. And that really could mean apocalypse, not in the sense of revelation, but in the sense of destruction.
I begin with the words of Max Weber, who, when asked at the end by students what political position we should take, Professor Weber, Max Weber in Heidelberg told the students, the best thing a teacher could do is point out uncomfortable facts. I think that is the position I'm in. I want to point out some inconvenient facts on the whole issue. It is an honor to be with you in this session and to dialogue with participants and an audience attuned to the nuances of religion and conflict, and to reflect together on the cover sessions on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict presented in Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, Koblenz, Germany, Ottawa, Canada, and last year in the Netherlands. We at Cover and others have gathered much information and had the opportunity to interact with experts and activists. But frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I do not think we are yet able to contribute much to peacemaking and conflict resolution. Nor is it just we in Cover who are befuddled. Indeed, peace activists all over the globe have had little ability to effect change. What is it about the Palestinian-Israel conflict which makes it so elusive to our understanding and mediation? The problem is not in the willingness of the two sides to articulate their grievances, motivations, and goals, but rather in our own European and American cultural refusal to come face to face with the underlying realities of the conflict. The Western media, academia, international peace movements, and indeed diplomatic initiatives are determined to view the Middle East conflict from their own secular, modern, individualistic, deracinated, anti-traditional perspective. And embedded in this Western illusionary universe of the West, the West simply refuses to recognize the tribal and civilizational realities, tensions, dilemmas, and violence inherent in the century-old conflict. These Western myths provide the illusion of understanding and do give succor, hope, and a measure of optimism. However, with all illusions or intoxicated states, they soon give way to the transient reality of suicide killing, bombings, murder, and kidnapping. The failed Western approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has produced the failed Oslo Accords, the failed Y Agreement, the disastrous Gaza disengagement, the non-existent roadmap, and the elections which catapulted Hamas to victory, all illusionary arrangements which have only resulted in greater violence. Today I want to talk in my limited time about some of the Western myths which in my view hinder us from a true understanding of the conflict. Number one, Western ethnocentrism and the fallacy of realpolitik solutions. Much of the profoundest efforts at Middle East peacemaking have fallen into the Western illusions of framing the conflict in practical, as René Girard said the other day, in practical and political, secular terms, seeing practicality and politics and economic advancement as crucial to the solution. Such peacemakers have ignored the enormous symbolic nature of the issues, where the real issues are mimetic envy and pent-up aggression. The most troublesome and complicated and recalcitrant issues are not, strictly speaking, solvable by economic aid, diplomatic treaties, and international support. This conflict is related to historical resentment, civilizational clashes, repressed fear, envy, and hostility. The architects of Oslo and the Gaza disengagement, as well as the planners of the current war in Iraq, would have been wise to acknowledge these seemingly unimportant issues of mimetic desire, so insightfully seen in René Girard's work. An uninformed secularity or an insensitive diplomacy which marginalizes or ignores religious visions and mimetic desire will be met by rejection and continued violence. Just one example. James Wolfenson and the World Bank poured in millions of dollars in that hothouses that the Israeli settlers had built in the Gaza area, in Gush Katif. Some of the bulbs were being sold in the European market for thousands of dollars because they were very delicate flowers. The World Bank built it. There was supposed to be hundreds of local